Thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of Behind the Mask podcast, presented by Real News No Bullshit. Episode 2 features a current police officer who has previously served as a missing persons, homicide, and property crimes detective in Southern California. Disclaimer: this episode was recorded prior to the body cam footage released by the Memphis Police Department regarding the death of Tyree Nichols. Our guest has requested his voice be altered to ensure that his identity stays anonymous. This is his story.
Is there a lot of kiss ass in departments?
Everybody's
Everybody's kissing ass.
A lot of people are kissing ass.
Just to move up.
You know.
Have you?
No. That's why I haven't moved up.
So, how long have you been a cop?
Almost 20 years.
Tell people. So you started out as a police officer and then you did some investigations, right?
Yeah. And like any police officer, you start off police academy, you go through field training, you work the field for several years, you get experience, and then you try to move into special assignments. I went to detectives.
What did you investigate?
Mostly property crimes, but I also do missing persons.
Missing persons,
and you assist with homicides. So
you've seen a little bit of everything.
Seen a little bit of everything.
With the missing persons, right? Like you get a missing case, is it you usually find them, or you have a lot of shit that just goes gone? You don't know.
Sometimes you find them quick, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it turns out in a murder. I had one guy, he reported his sister missing and turned out to be a murder. So, but that's what happens. Some you never find.
How do you find people?
A lot of times it's networking with other police departments. You put out emails and flyers, and somebody might say, hey, I saw him or her over here, and then you work that lead as far as you can.
So like if you need, so say I report somebody missing,
right, and
you're a detective on the case, what are you doing right now? Is there a way that you guys have the ability to track cell phones and
you can.
Is there like a digital footprint that you can follow?
Yeah, well, everyone has a digital footprint, and you just got to know how to work those means. When's the last time they're on their Facebook, their Instagram, their TikTok?
Can you get access to that stuff even if they're private?
All that stuff is you need a warrant, and you have to be able to write a warrant, and then you have to rely on the company. Let's say I need something from Google on person X. Well, Google isn't the most helpful company to work with.
Really?
Yeah. They have different branches inside, and you're like, hey, I need this from you. And they're like, oh no, you got to send that to this branch. So
there's a lot of like tentacles you got to cut through.
Yeah. And, and then you got to rewrite your warrant and readdress it to them. And, they play games because they don't want to help you. But once you get in.
You feel like Google doesn't want to help you when you try to contact them. What about like Facebook?
Facebook's a little bit easier, but, again, they're not there. They have a lot of legal aspects too. They want to protect their interest. I'm like, they're not pro police. They're leftist too. I mean, they're part of social media. They're part of the media that wants to,
Do you consider yourself left or right, or in the middle?
Center right.
Okay.
So, I mean, as far as people's rights go, do what you want to do. As long as you're not hurting children, you're not hurting the elderly, pets. Do whatever you want.
Back to you investigating, trying to find people. So you'll utilize Facebook. If you need to get a warrant to see something, you'll do that. What else can you do? Can you ping their phones? Can you?
Again, everything's done with a warrant.
Yeah.
The police can't just, say, I'm going to do this. No, you have to have a warrant. You have to, and it has to be legit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you can't lie on a warrant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everybody thinks, well, you're just going to make it up. You don't. Okay. There's repercussions for it. Look at
that fall on you.
They fall on me.
Yeah.
Because we only have, we don't have total exemption from making a mistake.
That's scary.
Yeah, it does.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. And that's why, people in that are not police officers who, stay at home mom who works from home or whatever, they think they understand the law. No, police officers don't just, do what they want. There's a strict line between what they can do within the law.
But there are a bunch of bad cops out there too. I mean, there's good cops and bad cops.
I wouldn't say there's bad cops. I would say there's stupid cops.
Stupid cops.
Okay. You got to remember, In Southern California,
Uh-huh.
Southern California probably has some of the best trained police officers around. Okay. The organization that runs police work, that keeps us on our standards, is Police Officer Standard and Training, which is POST. So everybody in California has to go to I think the last time I checked, it was like a 21-week academy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then they have to go through field training for X number of weeks. That lasts for a while. And all this is done to weed out the non-hackers. Okay, those who can't do it. All right. You go to other states, let's say New Mexico, you can get hired as a cop tomorrow, and they'll send you to the academy in a couple of weeks. And then their academy is only a couple of weeks.
Right.
Okay, so all these videos you have of cops doing stupid shit are from back east, of cops who went to a 3-week police academy or a 4-week police academy, an 8-week police academy, field training for a couple of weeks. So they don't have the same training that we have here in Southern California.
So you think that training makes a really big difference?
That training makes a world of difference. Because let's say POST says you have to have so many hours of X, whatever that subject may be.
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles Police Academy they'll double it, sometimes triple it.
But do you think that raising that bar also impacts them being able to recruit?
Yeah, because then you want the best. Because people are going to say, "Oh shit, I may not want to work here."
Right.
But lately,
are you guys having hiring problems with your department?
Everybody's having hiring problems with the department.
So what do you guys do to mitigate that?
Well, they try. Well, first of all, you don't want to lower your standards, but we have to, because
what have you guys lowered in your department standards?
Sometimes your standard testing is lowered a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, right now, I think one of our biggest issues is people don't know how to write.
Cops that you guys have coming in just can't. They're not literate.
Yeah, they're not. They can't write. They can't put a sentence together. They rely too much on the computer or whatnot, or they just. You don't get the cream of the crop. You don't get guys with master's degrees that come and say, "Well, I want to make $50,000 a year."
Right.
Why would you?
Right.
A lot of people that they don't want to get their degree in whatever subjects they have, communications, public administration, or political science, and so forth, and then say, "Oh, I want to be a cop and make less money." Why would I do that?
Did you always want to be a cop?
Yeah.
Why?
Grew up without a father, knew one day I'd be a father, and I wanted my kids to be proud of the career that I chose. I mean, however you look at it, police work is an honorable profession. It's a calling, and not everybody can do it. Mm-hmm. Okay? I mean, you go through a real hard testing process. You have to take a physical agility. You can't just be some Joe Schmo on the street who's out of shape.
Right.
Okay? They get there eventually because they don't care. You have to take a written test. After that, you get to take a couple interviews. Okay? And some departments have 2, some have 3.
The department you're with right now, is that the original one you started with?
No.
Okay, so you started with another one, and then
started with another one. Yeah. And then
what made you move?
I wanted to be able to do police work. In bigger departments, you can't do police work. It's more politicized. Everything's blanket statement. It's a blanket policy. You come from a department that's over 300, maybe in the thousands. The guy at the top doesn't know the guy at the bottom.
Right.
So they're, once they sit in an office, the brass, they lose all touch.
Right. And does that hurt your guys' morale, or?
It always hurts your morale. Yeah. But you talk to anybody who makes the rank of sergeant and above, and the first thing they say, "Well, what's your most responsibility?" Liability. Liability to the department, liability to the city, liability.
Right.
It's like asking a CEO, what's your most important, what's the most important thing to your job? If he says the customers, well, then that means your employee is second most important thing. Right. Well, why would your employee be the second important thing when they're the one dealing with the customer first?
Right.
So why not have a happy employee?
Right. Kind of going back into that, because you're hitting on, the top brass, right?
Right.
Do you feel that officers, let's start with the department that you work in, do they respect them? Do they hate them? Do you guys constantly talk shit on them? Do you
No,
like,
no,
is it
no.
is it
But my department's different for the simple reason is we have a good staff.
mm-hmm.
Okay, not everybody has it. You know, you'll hear the fact that, hey, don't worry, we got your back. Yes, yes, yes. My department actually does that. It's big enough to where everybody knows everybody.
Right.
Okay, and it's small enough to where they still care.
Right.
So I don't have those issues in my department. But if whatever department you go to, it's the same issues everywhere.
Right.
You know,
But so if your department is good, why do you feel like you have to talk with a mask on?
well,
Why would any cop that would want to come on here feel like they need to put a
because
mask on?
we just don't want the repercussions.
The repercussions of what?
What may come. There, you got to remember.
So if you say something the wrong way,
it could be taken the wrong way. You could be out of policy. There's something called policy, and the policy is what we have. That's our standard.
What's some of those policies that?
Some of the I mean, a policy can be anything. You know, you can't. You're not allowed to text on duty. You can't show tattoos. You can't have facial hair. You're not allowed to cuss. You know, there's all kinds of policies.
So the word policy just leaves the door open to anything they don't like.
Yeah, basically, it's our rule book.
So if you criticized like the city council for the city you work in, you're done.
I wouldn't say you're done, but I mean, it depends
on camera.
Yeah, it depends. You know, who hears it and whatnot. I mean, you know, so that's why. That's why people that promote and they still have years left, they're playing the game because they don't want to kiss the curb goodbye yet.
What's some ways that police departments indirectly penalize officers if they don't like them? Like you know what I'm saying? Like if you piss off your sergeant,
well, yeah,
what could he do? How do they fuck with you?
Well, the way anybody they start micromanaging you.
Okay, so
why were you on that call so long? How come why are you sitting over there doing that? You know, what are you doing over there? You know, how come you're not? You're
is that common?
Yeah, because you get these petty little sergeants who only care about themselves, or they want you to do police work the way you do the way they do police work.
Or they want you to kiss their ass too? Is that?
I don't know so much of that. They want you to kiss their ass, but they don't want to be challenged either. You know, it's like any boss; they don't want to be challenged. You know, so.
And if you do challenge them, what happens?
Well, you're probably not going to win. They'll just start papering you. Hey, here's your write up. You didn't take this report when you should have. Here's this. Your productivity is below. Or they'll wait till your evaluation comes up and give you a shitty evaluation. They make it personal. A lot of these guys they make everything personal. Well, I really don't like him because for whatever reason.
Does that concern you that guys that are, higher up in a police department take things so personal that they can get that petty when they're out on the streets patrolling? I mean, they got a gun, they can get that low and take things so personal that it,
Well, when you're dealing in in-house things,
mm-hmm.
they get petty because that's just the way they are.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with people on the outside, it's a different story because you don't know those people. Yeah, they may anger you or they may upset you or say something that you don't like. You pull over a car, you don't know who's inside it. It's got tinted windows, whatever. It turns out to be a minority, and you're a white cop. And the first thing they start saying, "Oh, you only pulled me over because I'm a minority." Well, this guy may be tired of hearing this, especially in today's day.
Do you get that a lot?
I do.
But I mean, for the record, you're not.
I'm a person of color, yeah.
Yeah.
But you still get it because they don't look at you as another minority. They look at you as a cop.
Is that becoming a more common thing that you're dealing with?
Yeah, all the time.
And how does that make you feel?
I've heard it so many times, you just blow it off. And
it just goes over your head.
You just whatever. One ear out the other.
When did that start?
It's been around for a while. It's always been around. Just depending on who it is.
Do you think that people of color that say that kind of stuff? Do you think sometimes they have a valid point, or do you feel like it's just bullshit? I mean, do you?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they've had a bad interaction with the police,
Mhm.
and maybe they haven't. I mean, let's face it. You know, cops don't go patrolling Beverly Hills and pulling people out of the car and jacking people and put them on the curb because there's nothing to do there. You know, cops want to do fun stuff. They want to fight crime. They want to arrest bad people. They want to find dope money and guns. You know, they want to put someone back in jail who's a criminal who's out there, you know, victimizing the society. So where do you go?
That's considered fun
That's considered fun. That's considered work. That's considered
what you signed up
what
for.
you signed up for.
Okay.
You know, that's why when somebody finds a stolen car, you have 10 police cars behind it, even though you should only have 2 or 3.
Because they're excited to get
Because
it.
they want to get into it. It's like, oh, we're fighting crime.
That's what you want.
That's what you want. Well, all that crime happens in the ghetto. All that crime happens in the barrio. All that crime happens in low income housing. You know, that's why, you know, they get there. But in the past, they would walk in like a invading force and treat people like shit, and you can't. You can still do work.
Has police work changed
Yeah,
20 years ago to now?
Yeah, we're focusing more on heart and minds, kind of like what they did in Iraq. You know, oh, we'll be friends, but I'm still here to do a job. I'm just going to say please and thank you.
Do you think it's working?
It's worked, you know.
Yeah.
But again, it all boils down to the officer's makeup. You know, who's he or who is she?
Mhm.
You know, newer officers have shitty communication skills because most of their time is spent on a phone and a computer. So, you know, to sit there and speak and try to decipher something, they find it hard. They get it more with more experience, but you know, there are certain things they don't understand. You know, in the beginning,
Right.
you know,
The rookies.
the rookies, the boots, they'll sit there and they'll argue with the drunk when you shouldn't. Just arrest them already. Be done with it.
Do you think they're coming in and they're wanting that action so bad that they're like picking at shit? Like kind of like, you know what I mean? Like
I wouldn't say that they're picking at shit. I think that
they're just eager to get something.
they're eager to learn. Some are. Some are just glorified report writers. You know, and that's a majority of it. You'll find them if you take, you know, a group of cops, you'll find out who are out there hunting, who are out there just taking, you know, passing the time.
Are you out there hunting?
I'm slowing down now just because this isn't the time.
Why is this not the time?
This is not the time. Well, because now the suspects and the criminals are now the victims. We take their side for everything. You know?
Explain that more. What do you mean?
Well, you have cops being challenged more when they're doing their job, when they have legal action to do their job. You know, they come in contact with the suspect and he scores up against them. You know, 20 years ago, he would have been on the ground, probably jacked up.
Do you feel that there's a microscope over everything you do now?
Yeah, obviously. And we carry the microscope on our shoulder. It's in the car.
The body camera.
The body camera, the video camera.
What do you think of those? Are you for them? Or are you against them?
You know, in the beginning, I was against it. I didn't like it.
Why?
Because I thought their big brother was watching it. Now I think it helps more than it hurts.
Why do you think it helps you more than it hurts you?
Well, because now you have people call up and say, well, this officer said this, this, and this, or he did this, this, and that. And they'll call you in and say, hey, you know, or, you know, whoever, you know, the sergeant or lieutenant or captain gets it will watch the video, find out that this person's lying and say, okay, well, you know, come on in. We'll watch the video. Mm-hmm. And then you can tell me where he did this. And you say, okay, well, where did this happen? And then all of a sudden.
So you think the body camera is almost like an insurance policy?
It's an insurance policy for us. Yeah. You know, and you get a lot of the older officers, they're almost gone now, that they weren't for it. But now they are.
Yeah.
You know, plus you get to watch yourself and you're like, oh shit, I fucked that up. You know, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. You know, or maybe I should have done this, or maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So you have the opportunity to review them too.
Yeah, you always get the opportunity to review it when you write your report before court, even before you go into internal affairs, and they're like, hey, we need to, you know, get to watch a video. Okay, there's a video. let's watch it.
Yeah.
So that's how that's helped us. But social media's hurt us because people take snips out of this or snips out of that video. They lay it the way they want to lay it, and they portray it the way they want to portray it. So
because it's no secret, there's tons of videos online
right,
that show cops, not in their best light, so to say,
absolutely.
doing horrible things. I mean,
I won't say horrible things, but
there's good and bad. There's
doing
good
stupid
cops.
stuff.
There's good cops and there's bad cops.
Right.
Right. I mean, there's no question about it. I think there's much more good cops than there's bad cops.
Right.
Or we'd have a much bigger problem in this world. But do you feel that because there's so much more stuff online and how quick I can take a TikTok right now of you doing something, that might not be good on camera,
right.
And it could go viral and then it could become national news.
Right.
Does that now have an impact on how you react to situations? Do you do the same shit you did back 15 years ago? Or?
No, not at all. As a person, you have to evolve. As a police officer, you have to evolve. And police departments evolve. They change policies. They do new training. They don't do this or don't do that. That's how that changes. But there's so much. What people don't understand is when you're a police officer, the public doesn't realize that's still a person. Kick them, it's going to hurt. Cut them, they're going to bleed. They have a temper. There's only so much you can do. I mean, I'm sure somewhere out there is a black police officer who basically sat down somebody on the curb, a white guy, and the white guy looks up at him, calls him the N-word. Now, is that going to sell news? No. Even if the black police officer punches the guy, probably not going to make a big difference because they're going to say, well, that was a white guy who called me N-word.
Do you, because you said you're a person of color, do you as a person of color experience racism while on the job?
Absolutely.
All the time?
Yes.
Really?
It's common from other people of color.
Really?
And they'll claim more racism. I'm darker than you, so you're being more racist than I am.
Have you ever shot anybody?
No, I've never shot anybody. Pulled my gun a lot on people.
Yeah. Is it like an every week occurrence? Every couple weeks?
Before it was quite regular. Depending where you work. Every city's different.
Like every day?
Not every day, but weekly. You don't know. People do stupid things. They reach for stuff when they're not supposed to.
Have you ever been really close?
I've been really close a couple times.
Can you talk about one?
Yeah, one of them was we went to your common domestic violence call, which it's number one cop killer.
Domestic violence calls.
Domestic calls are the number one cop killer. Next to traffic accidents because cops drive like assholes. We'll get into that later. And guy beat the shit out of his girl. She lumped her up good. She had to go to the hospital. Walk into the room. There he is with a knife. He's close. We tell him to put the knife down. He puts the knife down. He picks up the hammer. He picks the knife back up. We tell him not to, drop the knife again. And, luckily for that guy, the other officer tased him.
So you were ready to shoot.
I was ready to shoot if he turned and he charged us.
Yeah. So,
I would have had a good beat on him. But
what goes in your mind when you're about to do that? I mean, are you just laser focused?
No, you're hoping this guy puts the gun down or does whatever he's doing. He stops. Okay. You have to remember, people think, they look at TV. Oh, he got in a shooting and they moved on. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You shoot your gun, it's a long, drawn out day. You shoot somebody or you shoot your gun, now they take your gun, they do an investigation, you have to talk to your lawyer, the union rep, internal affairs, the district attorney's office comes out, they have to rule if it's a good shooting or a bad shooting. there's civil liability behind it.
You're being investigated.
Yeah, you are now the criminal. Okay.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, they read you your rights.
They read you your rights.
They read you your rights. You're not arrested, but they read you your rights. They read you your Miranda rights.
When you, as an officer on duty,
as an officer,
you shoot somebody,
yes,
and kill them, or if you just shoot,
once they start the investigation, the first thing they do, they ask if you want your attorney, which is always a yes. You have to wait for the union to come out. When the investigation starts, you have either an outside agency doing it or your agency doing it. The district attorney's office is there, and they read you your Miranda rights. Okay, and that's where you go. So when all these people say, "Well, this guy did this officer shot somebody, and he's now on paid admin leave," well, yeah, but he's also sitting at home being stressed out. Am I going to lose my job when I get criminally charged? Especially nowadays. You can have the department.
Do you think the political climate and how do I say this? The last 5 years, I think anybody could agree it's been rough.
Yeah,
for you guys have had a pretty, interesting image put on you, both sides, good and bad, right? You had George Floyd. There's a bunch of things out there that have undoubtedly created problems for police officers in America.
Absolutely.
And do you feel that because of those kinds of incidents, whether people think, it was justified or not, do you think that now cops that are having to pull out their gun and, maybe rightfully shoot somebody that could have caused more harm, do you think that you guys are now on a bigger microscope when you pull that trigger, when you get in a fight with somebody? Or
yeah, because nowadays what happens, you see cops in fights, and instead of people trying to help the cop out, they're videotaping it. Cop might be losing the fight, people are videotaping it.
Have you been in a fight where you've had somebody help you?
No. I've been in a fight where people actually pulled up and started video recording it.
Yeah.
You look up and say, "Can you help me out?" Seriously. And they just keep videotaping. That's it.
Because they're just, what do you think? They're just wanting
to go viral? Maybe.
They're waiting to see if something goes down bigger.
There are people that, that do that for a living now. All over Instagram, Southern California. The stringers, whatever you want to call these.
Or the First Amendment auditors.
Oh, that's a different story. Now.
What do you think of those guys?
They're looking for a paycheck.
A paycheck. So for people that don't understand, how do those guys make money?
Okay, so basically what the First Amendment auditors do is they will go somewhere public and they'll start videotaping.
Yeah.
Okay. And
a public place like a public library.
Post office. They'll even walk into the lobby of the police department.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's public property.
It's public property. It's open to the public.
Right.
And they'll wait till, somebody starts questioning them. And you see it all the time, especially in the South. The first thing they say is, "Well, give me your ID. You have to identify yourself." Well, there's no law that says you have to identify yourself.
You don't have to identify yourself as a police officer. Oh, you're saying when you ask them, "Hey, I need to see your ID."
I need to see your ID.
Okay.
No, given if you do commit a crime, and there's a crime afoot, now a different story. Now we say those magic words. You're now detained. Okay. And now I'm trying to figure out what crime you just committed, because this is where I think we're going. What's your name? Okay, I don't want to tell you. Okay, great, no problem. Don't need your name. I'll finish my investigation. When I'm done, I'm going to arrest you, take you in the back, we'll fingerprint you, we'll send it off, the whole 9 yards, and I'll figure it out then. But that's a different story. Just when you come into general contact with somebody, let's say I see you on the street, and I say, "Hey, what's your name?" And you don't have to tell me. Especially we're in a public place.
Right.
So that's what happens with all these First Amendment auditors.
And so what they're doing is they're hoping you fuck up and infringe on their rights.
Right.
Because if you do, what happens? They get a lawyer. They have lawyers.
They have lawyers. You got to remember, lawyers are like vultures. they're just like there's every whiplash lawyer around. There's these First Amendment lawyers too, and they're waiting for a check because they get 33 and a third. And you have to remember these cities. It's cheaper for the city to pay out than to go to court because they're paying their attorney hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars
to fight something.
When they can just say, you know what, litigation is going to cost us $25,000. We can make this go away for $5,000. Write the check. That's it. And that's what these guys are doing.
Have you guys been told how to deal with First Amendment auditors?
Yeah, you get some training. It's nothing wazoo. They're just like, hey, just go with the program. The good thing is cops network.
Yeah.
So let's say you're a First Amendment auditor.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, we're going to figure out who you are and where you came from.
Right.
Okay. When they do their things, they park far away or they get dropped off or whatever. Somebody will find out. So
because you're looking for the license plates, which
right, looking for license plate, looking for anything.
Can a cop though legally? You can't just run a license plate.
No, you can't just. You can't.
But
just,
you guys do it.
No, when people do when
you're trying to figure out who somebody is, then no one's gonna know. Do you just run the plate?
No, you have to have a reason to run the plate.
But you can't. So what you're saying is you can't just pull out the computer.
No, can't do that. It's a crime. You'll lose your access to the system.
How would they know?
They run audits. We get audited. That's the other thing. People don't realize that cops get audited all the time. We get audited by DOJ. We get audited by the department. We get audited by everybody. So.
And so like you tell me they could come to me like, why did you run this white?
Yeah, they'll
Lexus?
come to you. Why did you run this white Lexus? I don't know. Why did you run this person's name? I don't know. You can't do that. You have to have an answer.
How do cops now, or the top brass know if you're doing your job?
They run stats. They run stats all the time
to see what you're doing, to see how many arrests you've had, tickets you've written. Is there a quota?
No, there's no quota.
You guys don't have a quota.
You can't have
because everybody says you guys have.
No, there's no quota because it's against the law. There's an actual law that says you can't have a quota.
Is there a way they get around not saying you have a quota?
Sure, you won't get that special assignment you want. You want to go to traffic? You haven't written a ticket in 2 years. You want to go to gangs?
So even though they can't say you have a quota,
they can use your work.
It's like a hey, you've only written 50 tickets in the last year, or 20 tickets in the last year, and you're trying to become a traffic cop. Seriously?
Yeah. Where the average traffic cop on a motorcycle rates about 20.
20 a day. A day. Really?
Yeah.
How many tickets do you write a day?
Maybe 2.
What makes your decision when you're like, I'm gonna let this guy go, or I'm not gonna let this guy go, I'm gonna let this girl go? Attitude. So if I got pulled over today, what was the first thing you would do?
After I approach safely and do all that tactical wazoo bullshit and talk to you?
Yeah.
Just your personality. Just how is this guy,
Yeah.
Hey, give me your license, register, proof, insurance. All right, here you go. First thing is, and one of the things that just annoys the shit out of people,
yeah,
especially cops, is when you ask them for the registration, they pull out this big fucking box of fucking paperwork out of their middle console, and they're telling me to do this thing, and it's like, really? You can't even have your registration?
That's like me. I don't have mine ready to go.
Okay, that's check mark number 1 against.
I'm just fucked.
Okay. Now you're making me wait.
So you don't want to wait.
I don't want to wait. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't have my license or my ID somewhere around here.
You get a lot of people saying, "I got a picture of it."
I got a picture of it. I'll take.
Piss you off with a picture?
No, I'll take a picture because that's how insurance is done now.
Yeah, so actually, I have my insurance on my phone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
The insurance is no big deal. It only counts when you get into an accident. But it's one of the things we ask for just in case.
Yeah.
Because you have to have it.
Yeah.
Regardless of, you're doing, whatever Joe Schmo small insurance company,
right.
It is what it is. But, a lot of things is, I pulled over some gangsters, and you're like, oh shit, here we go. And he's, yes sir, no sir, absolutely sir, go with the program sir. And you're like, holy shit, look at this guy. And then when it's all said and done, after we're done, we're like, okay, you know what? You were cool. Peace. Okay, thank you. But the ones who fuck up are, why'd you pull me over? because I can. Because I can, and I have this number of reasons why. So we're at 2 reasons now. So that's your first 2 lines of that ticket. Now let's start. We'll start building up. Oh, you want more attitude? Okay. Oh, you don't have your license? Okay, that's a ding. Your license.
So what you're saying is, if you get attitude, you'll just find.
I'll just start pencil fucking you. Fuck you. You know. And to be honest, what's
do you feel like all cops do that, or is it just?
Yeah, it's called a contempt of ticket or contempt of cop arrest.
Yeah.
You know, okay, you want to be a dick. Okay, well, I'll be nice. I'll smile. I'll tell you, have a nice day. Here's your ticket. Go pay your $1,000, and you can challenge it, and they'll pay me my overtime rate to go sit there and tell the judge, Your Honor, I pulled him over I got the video, Your Honor. No license plate in the front, tinted windows, modified exhaust, didn't have a license, didn't have insurance. He didn't have this, he didn't have this. All that time the course is going.
You ever get the guys that refuse to roll down the window?
Sure.
What do you do?
Tell them, slide me your license through it. Okay, give me your license. Where's your registration? Okay, great, cool. Hey, Johnny, come back and get your license. You want your license? Come back and get it. You gotta sign this ticket. Okay, get out of the car.
Oh, you like leave it on your car or some shit?
Hey, come out of the car. Hey, I'm not going to you. I'm not a waiter. Hey, come and get it. Okay, I need you to sign this ticket. Okay, great. Cool, thank you.
So you technically won. You got him out of the car.
I got him out of the car. Yeah. No problem. And
so it's a game.
It's a game.
If they're fucking with you, I'm gonna fuck with them.
Absolutely. Why not? You want to play? You want to be a dick? I can be a dick too, but I can be nice about it. I can smile. And you know what? The video is gonna say I smiled. I called you sir. I said, hey, I'll explain to you.
Have you ever lost your temper? Like, just looking back at something that you've dealt with while you were a cop, and you're just like, fuck, I just lost it.
Yes, but they didn't know I lost it.
What happened?
Just got into word games with someone. Someone got in my face, and I was pissed, and I just stood there, and I'm like, okay. I smiled. I waved. He didn't know he won. I'm like, okay, we're done. Went along our way. And then I was like, okay, he got the better one today. Good. But I didn't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't push him. I didn't hit him. I didn't cuss at him.
Did you ever do anything stupid?
No. Not stupid enough. I'm not that dumb. I don't take it personal. It's, per se. I don't,
You don't take your work personal. Or you try to keep it away from you.
I try to keep it, I don't take it like they're attacking me personally. They're attacking the uniform, they're attacking the badge, they're attacking the car.
So you try to, because you got a family. I'm not going to go into what you have, but you try to keep what happens at work away from the house.
Absolutely, all the time.
Does your wife ask you when you get home, like, what happened today?
No.
She knows not to.
No,
she just doesn't want to.
She just doesn't want to. It's just, the thing with police work. It's the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. You pull over the same person over and over again. Not the same exact person, but the same person in general. Pull it like right now. Let's say you have all these young kids who have money from God knows where, and with their souped up cars making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. I pulled over another one. Pulled over another one. Pulled over another one. Here you go.
Same story.
Same story over and over. Yeah. Nice car, is it? It's mine. Well, it's not mine, it's my mom's. Okay, great. How much you pay for exhaust? $350. Cool, great. Here's your ticket. Go take it off.
But like you say, you try to keep your work away from your home life.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's got to be some things that you've dealt with that go with you home that you just can't leave at your locker.
Yeah, there are times.
What's something that's stuck with you?
One of the things that stuck with me, and I actually called my wife right after it happened, is we had a baby die.
A baby?
A baby.
A baby.
2-month-old baby. Stopped breathing.
Just stop breathing.
Stopped breathing. Died to SIDS. And the baby died.
Yeah.
New guy was there and me. Sergeant rolls up, asks the new guy, you okay? Starts talking. We talk for a minute. And I look at him and say, you didn't ask me if I was okay. He goes, I know you're okay.
Sergeant assumed you were okay.
Yeah. So I get in the car.
Because you've been a cop for a long time.
So then we're leaving. Another group, another cop took it because they wanted it for training. And I leave. And as I'm leaving, I didn't feel anything. So I called my wife and I go, you know what? This kind of sucks. And she's like, what do you mean? I go, I just held a big dead baby in my hand. And you know what? I could care less. I go, that just strikes me wrong. That's just
That
not.
you just didn't care.
That I didn't, it didn't hurt
You
me.
were like numb to it?
Yeah, I was numb to it. And you're like, fuck, you know, and you.
How did that rookie take it?
You know what? I never asked. I wasn't concerned with him.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. I mean, years later, I asked him, and he said he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, being on so long, I was like, fuck it. Am I that cold? You know?
That it didn't even impact you.
It didn't even impact me, you know? And it felt sad. Because I had a son about that same age at the time. And I'm like, that would ruin me. You know?
Yeah, but it just didn't hit you.
It didn't hit me, you know?
What has hit you? Anything?
I mean, that hit me. I mean, I've had to do.
I mean, looking back at it,
looking back,
yeah,
looking back, that hurt. People that are sexually assaulted, that sucks. That
talking to the victims,
because
you have to ask them questions, right?
You got to ask them real detailed questions. You know, and don't get me wrong. There's a lot that say, "Hey, I was raped," and it turned out not to be. But when you get that real victim, that was, you know, a child or or was somebody who was really raped, then all bets are off. You know, you got to be be emotionally open up to that person,
and you have to ask them these hard questions.
You got to ask them very detailed questions. You got to ask them very.
And why does it have to be so detailed?
Because the court won't file the case. It's a hard case. I mean, I don't know what the lawyer's point of view is.
Yeah.
But they ask a lot of us. You know, it's not just I showed up, I came, I did, I saw, I took a statement, I took you to jail. There's a lot more into that.
When you're asking like rape victims,
yeah,
these tough questions, like what's a question you'll ask them?
One of the hardest questions is, you know, what did you get penetrated with? You know, and you're gonna ask, you know, fingers, objects, what object, what
like
finger?
You have to get down to the point where they literally say,
right, and where did it go? It went in, you know, it went in my vagina, you know, it went in my private part, or you know, it did this, you know.
And did some of these victims, they just start crying?
They're always crying
as they're telling you this.
Yeah.
So you just have to suck it up
and
deal with it.
Yeah, you have to suck it up. You have to deal with it. I mean, you know, you got to ask them, you know, did you see his penis? Yeah. What did it look like? What color was it?
You have to ask them what it looked like.
Describe it to me.
And that's because when this stuff gets to court, these lawyers will try to.
They'll ask the victim, did you see the penis go inside you? No. Or did the officer ask you if the penis went inside? Well, yeah. But you told him it did, yeah. But you didn't see it go inside you. No. You know, these lawyers, they're vicious. You know.
Do you ever start asking a victim stuff and they just stop? They're like, I can't do it.
Yeah. And
what happens?
You asked to come back. Can we come back to this? We'll stop for a little bit, get some water, you know, take a break. Yeah. You know, you talk to them a little bit off subject. You know.
Is there any way that they could change this where it doesn't have to get to that point of detail? You have to have it.
It has to be that way.
Because of court.
Because of court. It has to be that way because you want a conviction. You know. Because you got to remember the public defender who has to look at this and say, well, if it's not detailed, I can beat it. I got to find the holes in this report. If you leave no holes, then they can't beat it.
And you're trying to be as detailed as you can because you don't want to leave any holes.
Absolutely.
So unfortunately, you just have to get as much detail as you can.
Right. And that's rough.
And do you think some of the victims don't understand that at that point because they don't understand?
Sometimes a good officer, and what I like to do is I like to explain, look, we're going to talk about some things that happened to you in detail. I'm going to ask you some real personal questions. Okay. And I need to ask these questions because of, you know, the report. You know, I had to ask a teenager one time if she, you know, when you oral copulated your dad, when you gave your dad head, did you swallow? Did he make you swallow? Did you spit it out? You know? Yeah.
Somebody's.
Yeah. No, think about this, okay? You take a 22-year-old out of college, give him 6 months in the academy, another 6 months in field training. He's on the street for a year, and he gets to go investigate a 12-year-old who's been sexually molested by her dad for 6 years. What kind of life?
You've dealt with that?
Yeah. What kind of life experience has this guy had? Nothing. Okay? Nothing. Okay? So when you're a cop, you're a priest, you're a social worker, you know, you're a fucking doctor, you know, because you carry 2 or 3 tourniquets on your body. You're a paramedic. You're everything. You know, in one.
Yeah.
And as soon as they slap the badge on you, that's it. You get it. And everybody expects you to be an expert on it that day.
And you're not.
And you're not.
You don't consider yourself a perfect cop.
No, nobody is. It's a learning experience. Every day is a learning experience. You know, that's why you have these people out here doing stupid shit. You know, wanting to play cop. A lot of things that people don't talk about is the sex trafficking. You know, you don't see it a lot on
sex trafficking of like
females.
Just not just any age preference, or is it everything?
It's everything. It doesn't matter. I mean, just depends on who the sex trafficker is and what they're bringing in. I mean, years ago, working in another city, we used to get a lot of Chinese immigrants. You know, they'd open up the little mama-san house. People come in for the massage. They kept it low key. You know, and they were sex trafficking in houses.
Yeah.
You know, why do you think in all these mostly Asian areas, you have all these massage parlors, foot massage, you know, full body massage, table massage, whatever. And some of them are legit, but there's a good part of them that are not. You know, these are people that, you know, came from other countries who have to pay off, you know, the cartel or whoever brought them in, and they're making them work. So that's the other problem. And now with all these migrants coming over, you know, how many of them are being forced? Where are they being forced into? Nobody knows. You know, the Biden administration doesn't care. They just want people to vote for him.
What do you think of Biden?
Well, one, he's dirty like every other politician, more so than the most. You know, I think, you know, like ancient Rome, our country's going to fall because of corruption from the inside.
Do you think our country's going to fall?
Probably within the next 100 years, unless we pull it out.
Do you think the United States of America is going to fall?
I think we're going to have we're going to have some big issues because of politicians, because of
like what, like a civil war?
No, I'm going to say a civil war, but we're going to have a reckoning of some type. I can't tell you what kind, but we have too much corruption in politics. You know, we have these lifelong politicians, you know, who get dirty money from fucking groups. You know, from their lobbyists, from Big Pharma, from fucking Google, from all these places. You got the New World Order, all these guys running, you know, or whatever the hell that thing is called that they just had.
The World Economic
Forum and all that other stuff. You know, and they tell you, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You know,
as a cop, how do you see it?
You know, as a cop, I mean, we always look at politicians being dirty.
All of them.
All of them.
So you think Biden's dirty? You think Trump's dirty?
I say Trump is dirty as far as the way he ran his business, because he was a businessman. I've known people. I knew someone who did a little bit of business with them.
Yeah.
On a small construction site.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had to fight to get his money. And, you know, obviously Trump was like, well, it wasn't done right. You know, so they went back and forth. The guy eventually got most of his money, but he didn't get everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, I mean, I think Trump is just a savage businessman. Okay? Compared to a dirty politician. Two different things. And I think that's why Trump failed as a president, because he thought he was going to run it like a corporation. I want you to do this. He didn't realize of all the, you know, the people that hold offices and jobs that are not elected.
And a lot of people focus on that, the higher level of politics, Congress, Senate, maybe some governorships, presidency, shit like that. People think that that's where a lot of the corruption is, but you said earlier that
Small government's dirty.
local governments,
Look at
city council.
look at LA City Council.
What do you think of the LA City Council?
They're all dirty. Look at them. One of them got pushed out because she's a racist and she was Hispanic. She made a bad remark about a black person or black baby, something like that. It's amazing. They'll sit there and say, "Oh, I was from this neighborhood." They're not from the neighborhood anymore. You haven't lived in the neighborhood for a long time. Now you live in a mansion somewhere 10 miles away, barely in the city.
Yeah. So the corruption aspect of it. Let's say, without revealing where you work, let's say that you needed to do an investigation into somebody on the city council. How many hoops are you going through?
Once it leaves my hands, it's going to go through a lot of hoops.
So it doesn't start with you, but it starts to get twisted.
Let's say at a low level, okay, it won't start with me, but let's say it starts somewhere. And the first thing is, everybody says, okay, you're dealing with politician A. Okay, so now all of a sudden you have a supervisor sitting on your hip, making sure that you're asking the right questions, not asking too many, not doing the wrong thing.
So they're there watching already.
So they're watching already. They already know it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this
is that supervisor there because somebody higher up said, watch this?
Yes. It comes down quick.
So it's are they watching it to make sure you're being honest and fair? Is it an intimidation, you feel like?
No, it's making sure that you're protecting the police department. Because regardless if it's a politician, most of the time that police department will hand it off to an outside department, depending on size of it.
They don't want to deal with it.
Well, that way they show no bias.
But there is a bias.
Oh yeah, the police department doesn't want to get fined
by the politician.
By the politician.
So the police departments are afraid of the politician.
Well, of course, because the politicians run the strings. They're the boss of the chief. They get to pick who the next person is who sits in that chair.
So those chiefs are just corrupt.
They're not corrupt, but they run a business. They run a police department. They have to run it.
And if they don't, well, if you feel that they're not corrupt, but they're having to answer to these guys, and it's
like the CEO makes the COO answer to him. You know what I mean? That's the way it works. The guy below you isn't going to do too much. He's going to still do his job, but he's going to make sure that he can keep his job.
Are there people that you feel that you can't touch where you work without revealing who they are? Is it like, oh, you don't want to fuck with this business because this guy, has 10 of these in the city and he pays a lot of taxes. The city loves him, or this guy's a city council member, or like we're going to respond to this guy's 911 call because he lives on the street of the mayor. Is there shit like that?
Some people get better service
because of who they are.
Of who they are
in the city.
In any city, okay, let's put it this way.
So that's a little bit corrupt. It's a form of it.
It's a form of it. It's special treatment. Let's say this: if someone in the city council in LA, if their house gets burglarized, okay, they're not just gonna call your basic. It's not gonna be your basic patrol guy who's gonna say, okay, here's your report, see you later.
Are they calling 911?
Of course they're calling 911. No, actually they're probably gonna call the chief.
Directly to the chief. My house got burglarized.
Hey, my house got burglarized. Get somebody over here.
Yeah.
And he'll send somebody.
Somebody or a shitload of them?
A shitload of somebody.
Okay.
It's going to be a shitload. And you're going to,
A normal burglary call, how many cops usually go?
One, maybe two.
And if it's the mayor, or not the mayor, that's too high. Let's go like a city council
member. Yeah, you're gonna get a few cops and a sergeant, maybe a detective coming out
immediately.
And
that's not normal for other people.
Oh no.
So it's a form of corruption. I mean, there's a special treatment for certain people.
Well, there's a special treatment for everybody. But yeah, it's just like anybody. It's like dealing with a celebrity. You know, that celebrity's going to get some special treatment.
How's that make you feel?
It's bullshit because I'm more of an idealist. I believe everyone should be treated the same.
But you don't have an option because of who these people are and who's telling you to do it.
Right.
And if you don't,
well, then they're gonna bitch. They're gonna use their bitch card. You know, I know the chief. Good for you. I know him too. I know the mayor. Good. I know her too. I'm not a fan. You know,
yeah.
I know councilman whoever. Okay, good for you. You know,
yeah.
It's kind of one of those things when people, you stop them and they know someone from the police department. Hey, I know Joe Schmo. I'm like, good. I know him too, and we don't get along. So there goes that.
So you use your card then?
Yeah, use my card.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not here.
So every cop has that card.
Every.
That's what I'm trying to get at here. I'm not saying that all cops are corrupt, but you can pull that card and just say, "Oh yeah, fuck you too." Here, boom.
Yeah.
I got pulled over one time, right? Wasn't the best day for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was done, right? And I might have came off as that I had an attitude, but I was just mentally done that day. Okay. Everybody has those days where you're just like, fuck, like this is not what I want to do today.
Right.
My license, here's my insurance. I lost my registration. The cop was like, oh, how does that work? I lost it. Like, we want, and I think he took that the wrong way.
Right.
Goes to the front of my car, says, you also don't have a front license plate.
Right.
I'll be right back. Fucking 2 tickets.
Right.
Yeah.
Did
he have to give me that second ticket?
No.
No.
But
do most people in California have their front license plate on their car? I mean,
yeah, you have to.
Yeah, but do you?
Yeah.
You're a cop.
you have to. You.
There's things though, like.
Yeah.
I think for my car, I don't even think there's a place you could put it. They don't even make it.
No, they do.
Oh, well, when I bought it, it didn't have it.
Well, that's everyone's excuse. I bought it this way. Oh, okay.
I'm actually being serious.
But I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, trust me. You want to see someone get pissed? You pull someone over in a Corvette and tell them, "Hey, where's your front license plate?"
That's what I'm saying. They don't have a spot for it.
No, they do. Chevy makes a bracket, but they have to drill the bracket into your.
That's my thing too. And I just was like, no, man, I'm not doing it.
Here's your $100,000. You want me to put a hole in my $100,000 car for a 10-cent license plate because because I pissed you off?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a nice day now.
So it's a game. It's a game. It is.
It's somewhat of a, oh, you're gonna get me, I'm gonna get you back. I guess you could say it. It all depends. It doesn't have to be that.
Depends on who the cop is too.
It depends, yeah. But you gotta remember, it's like a dance.
Right.
Okay, we don't lead the dance. We start the dance. Okay, because we make initial contact.
And you're trying to see how they dance back.
And then if they dance and they're fucked up, well then okay, well these are what I can do.
Those are your moves. Here's my moves.
Yeah. You could also just say fuck it. I did fix your shit. Oh, I don't have time to deal with you.
You've had those days. Where you're just like, all right.
It's like you're not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You're not.
That's not what you signed up
for.
Yeah,
and it's not that. I'm looking for something. I'm looking for money. I'm looking for dope. I'm looking for guns. I'm looking for a criminal committing a crime who's going to commit a crime. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking for.
Common crimes that you deal with that people might not realize.
Your common everyday property crime.
Okay.
It's a hassle. Okay.
Yeah.
One, you're dealing with the victim who, their shit got broken into, and it sucks because nobody likes their stuff, broken into.
Right.
But you got some dirtbag who broke into it, So now
you're usually not going to find them.
You're usually not going to find them.
So you're just going there to just write shit on a piece of paper and
leave. You do the best you can.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here you go. And you tell them, look, there's a chance that you're not going to get your stuff back.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And you let it go.
Yeah.
But that's why you see these guys on bikes with no headlights on and no light at night. They're all getting stopped. Those are your burglars.
Really?
Those are them. When's the last time you saw a drug addict have a job? You don't. Where do they get their money? They don't get it from
So
the.
being a cop, there's a lot of profiling in it. Then you have to. Is what you're kind of saying.
I wouldn't say profiling, but you're trying to use the law in your.
But can you see somebody down the street and be like, that guy's got a gun on him? Here's why I think he does. That this guy looks like he's up to no good. Like what? I've heard cops say that shit on TV. I think before. How do they get there? What are you looking for?
It just depends on the cop and what you're looking for. It depends where you're at too. I mean, okay, Saturday night, downtown Main Street, Huntington Beach. Chances are I'm not going to find a gangster with a gun walking down Main Street.
Right.
Chances are, though, I am going to find a drunk. Okay.
Right.
So
it's in the environment at the time.
At the time, what do I see? I see some dude walking or some chick staggering who can't take care of herself, who's going to fall and get hurt.
What about a guy at 2 a.m. at a park?
You know.
What is that? What does that tell you?
Am I dealing with a homeless guy? And you know what's his issue? Why are you in a park at night? You know.
Yeah.
Give me a reason why. You know, are you a drug user? You know, most normal people don't hang around a park at night. You
right.
Know? Or, you know, what are your demons? Are you going to commit suicide here? You're going to hang yourself by a tree?
You get a lot of that?
Sometimes. You know, it's not uncommon. You know.
They leave notes?
No. It's usually frustrating for the family.
They don't say anything.
I think one of the hardest ones I had was I had a young girl hang herself on her birthday.
Fuck.
In her room.
How old?
Early 20s.
On her birthday?
On her birthday.
For the family to find?
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Then they were just a disaster.
They knew their daughter had issues.
Yeah.
But not to that extreme, I think. You know?
So they're just shocked.
I wasn't. I was. No, yeah, I was.
They were shocked.
They were shocked. You know? And you're like, okay. You know, it's one of those things.
On her birthday. What else have you had?
You know, you get your normal suicides.
A lot of fentanyl ODs.
We get a lot of those now.
But we keep hearing the word fentanyl.
Yeah,
epidemic. Is it really as bad as it is?
Oh yeah, it's a daily.
Daily.
You know, daily.
Somebody's ODing on fentanyl.
Yeah, and then you get the cops there, and we're giving them the spray up the nose. We all carry it. You know.
Is it kids too now?
Yeah, kids.
Because I'm hearing a lot that I see those reports that they're now taking these fentanyl pills and painting them colors.
Yeah, they do.
Making them look.
Yeah. The M30 pills. That's what they're doing. That's what they're selling. You know.
And the kids don't even know they're taking them.
They think they're taking something. They you know, they don't know. You know, they're taking. You know, whatever the latest and greatest thing is they want to take. You know.
So, how do you stop that shit?
Parents. It's the parents.
Because you're never going to stop it coming in.
No, you're never going to stop it coming in. There's too much money. You know, everybody wants to buy it.
Right.
You know, we started the opioid crisis.
How? Because
they said that it wasn't addictive, and every doctor was scratching out, you know, hydrocodone or Norco or Oxy or something, and it became a craze. All these people. It's weird when you bust an addict and you ask them, how did you start? And it's always the same thing. I hurt my arm, I hurt my leg, I hurt my back. And then they stopped filling my prescription. And then I couldn't afford buying the pills on the street, so I started doing heroin. And I'm like, serious? Heroin's cheaper than buying the pills. Uh-huh.
And they'll just start doing it.
And they start doing it. They like the feeling.
Fuck.
You know, that's how it is.
Man, wow.
But it falls down to the parents. The parents have to put the stop to the kids prior to you.
It's the home life.
It's the home life. It's the home life. It's what you see. I mean,
do you feel like that you have to I have a lot of people that I know that I feel may have been too sheltered, right? And then they become
See,
disasters.
I'm just the I don't shelter my kids. I'll take my kids to Skid Row.
You'll take your kids to
Yeah,
Skid Row
I'll
and
take
show
my
them.
kids to Skid Row. I'll
You
take them.
want
We go downtown LA all the time. Yeah,
you want them to see it.
Yeah, see, this is what drugs and alcohol addiction will do to you. This would happen if you drop out of college. This is going to be your life when addiction takes over. This is it. That's why you have people
So
living.
being real and just
Yeah,
showing what you think is the way to go.
know. And I mean, sometimes they say it really didn't make a difference. I just didn't want to do it. The bottom line is going to fall down to the kid. Do you want it? Do you want to try it, or don't
Every
want to try?
kid's different.
Every kid's different. But if you tell them this is what's going to happen, if you addiction is the disease that people don't realize. You get these people with addictive personalities. It's like you have them with OCD and everything else.
Yeah. You're a cop in California too. I wanted to get into this. California has arguably one of the most hardcore gun laws in the country. I think New York and California are pretty neck and neck. Minus DC. DC is absolutely
and DC is crazy. Chicago's nuts.
As a cop, what are your thoughts on guns?
As far as
do you think there's a problem?
No, I think the problem is the criminal. The criminals are going to always get guns.
Mm-hmm.
You can make them illegal tomorrow. The criminals are going to be the only ones that have the gun. You can say that you can't have high capacity magazines, and the criminals are still going to get them.
You're stopping guys still with high capacity magazines.
It's common. It's not. Nowadays you have to do a background to buy ammunition. Criminals don't do this. The lawmakers don't get it. Criminals don't go buy guns new. They don't go buy new ammunition. They steal it. They break into people's houses, and people are stupid. They don't have a safe. They leave their gun underneath their bed. They leave their gun in their closet in their shoebox. On top of the dresser, behind something. And criminals, when they break in your house, they search. Or you bought a cheap safe and they break it.
There's an argument out there though that, for example, let's take, some people call them assault weapons, some people call them semi-automatic rifles. What's your terminology for like an AR-15 that you can buy in California right now in your book? I'll say assault weapon and I get shitted on from people on one side who's like, it's a semi-automatic rifle.
It's a semi-automatic rifle, yeah. Okay. And that's the way I look at it, the semi-automatic rifle.
Okay, so let's use that terminology because that's what you want to go with. There's a call to ban those type of weapons. Mostly this is becoming because of what's been happening with these school shootings.
Right.
Uvalde. I could go through a list of different shootings. What are your thoughts?
Again, if you look at statistics, most good gun owners don't do those things. Mm-hmm. It's, the 1% of the 1% are less than that that do that.
Yeah.
I'm a constitutionalist. The Constitution says what it says. It's not, in my opinion, a living, breathing document like some people say where you can change it. We interpret it. And you get into arguments with minorities who say, well, it says all men. There's no women. Well, yeah, now we interpret it to mean all. All men is.
But you say you're a constitutionalist, but if there was a policy that came out in California that said we're banning semi-automatic rifles, you're a constitutionalist, but you're also a police officer.
I'm also a police officer
in the state of California
who works for the government.
What would you do? Would you enforce that?
Well, but haven't been pushed there yet.
Let's go there. What would you do?
Who knows?
I'm sure there's policies out there that you don't even agree with that you enforce. Yeah.
Yeah. You have what they call discretion.
So you would probably just use your discretion.
I'd use my discretion. By all means, let's put it this way: when half the time when you run again in the state of California, you can't even find out who the real owner is because DOJ is so backed up. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
Really?
Sometimes the computer system isn't working. You know, it varies. You know, I mean,
But let's say like California comes out. Like the guy, I think Governor Newsom has been really pushing a ban on semi-automatic rifles.
right,
Assault weapons is what he calls it. You're
right.
calling it semi-automatic rifles. We're just going to use both so nobody gets pissed. If he came out and they did it, what would you do? Are you going to enforce it? If let's say you catch me and I have one, what are you going to do?
Well, you got to remember the way the law is written. I mean, they're not one liners.
Right? There's ways to
The way
interpret it.
the way that the last ban was done under the Clinton administration, if you had it, it was yours. It was,
Your
your
grandfather did.
grandfathered in.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, so if you tell me, hey, I own it. It's legal in California. Have all the features it needs to have. Okay, and I bought it before this date.
That's another thing in California. They have different gun modification rules, right?
Yeah. And
if you find somebody that's got, like what's a rule that they've got? Like you can't have
a free dropping magazine.
What would you do?
You got to look at the other features. What other features does it have?
So you're looking at everything.
You're looking at everything. You can't just say, oh, it has this one thing we're taking, or it doesn't have this one thing we're doing that. You have to figure out how it works. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have to break it apart in two pieces. Does it have the ugly flash hider or the telescoping buttstock or the fin on the handle, whatever it may or may not be.
Right.
So
a question that I have that somebody sent to us is, do you feel that people of color, specifically African Americans, are treated differently than, I don't know, for example, white people?
No, I don't, and I'll tell you why. I think, unfortunately, our country has treated African Americans badly in some spots, mm-hmm. But when it comes to the low-income housing, where a lot of minorities live, regardless of their Hispanic or Black, there's a lot of crime there. Mm-hmm. Because they're relying on the government for their livelihood, welfare, SSI, disability, etc. And they're not given enough, and then crime's afoot. And then when you start seeing generational people who live in low income housing, grandma lives in the projects down there. Mom lives in project number 7 over there. Oh, the daughter just got her first apartment in the projects over here. They're just doing generational wealth isn't taking off. And the news media doesn't.
It's kind of like generational poverty.
Yeah, it's generational poverty. And then when people get out, they don't come back. They don't come back to help.
Do you think some people are legitimately stuck though?
Yeah, because that's all they see. Oh. It's when you talk to kids and you ask them, I'm like, there's more than this project, and they don't see that because that's all they see.
So you're saying they're stuck there?
They're stuck there. Once in a while you'll get the ones who get out.
Do you think they're purposely stuck there by something, or do you think that?
Yeah, by economics and government. And again, it falls down to the parents because when you talk to someone who's an immigrant, mm-hmm. or you talk to someone who's a first generation American, mm-hmm. their parents were immigrants, and you always hear the stories is, my parents worked hard so I can go to college and be better. And that's the American dream.
Right.
Or it was.
Right.
Now we're the United States of America, giant welfare state. We're going to give you free housing, free health care, free medical, free money. Don't come here and work. We're going to give you everything. Be dependent on the government.
And you don't believe in that?
And I don't believe in that. But when you have generational poverty, then you have issues. Because these people don't, regardless what color you are, don't see an out. It's common. Mm-hmm. It's common to see moms sit on the couch, drop a couple oxy, drink a 40, smoke cigarettes. Okay, I guess I'll do that too. And then if you do numbers, you realize there's more poor whites than there are blacks on welfare. You know,
Really?
yeah, there's studies that have been done. If you drive down Slauson Avenue in Crenshaw in
Mhm.
LA, the main street looks like shit. It
Yeah.
does. It looks like trash.
Mhm.
You know, you go in a block or two, looks like any suburb.
Mhm.
Why? Because people live there. You know, you don't. You know, but the news media doesn't show you that. You know, they don't show you the African American guy who wears a suit with dreads, who went to college, you know, and is making something of his life. You know, who's an entrepreneur. That
Mhm.
doesn't sell papers. But, you know, gangster number one and gangster number two stole a car, shooting up, doing a drive-by and killing somebody, you know, the innocent victim walking down the street. That sells papers,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And then, unfortunately, cops pull over the good guy, treat him like the bad guy, and now he has a bad taste. And instead of realizing, oh wait, you're not a gangster, you're a businessman. Let me be on my way.
Mhm. Couple other things to just speed around it if you want to get into anything. The Uvalde school shooting. This questions people ask. Your take on it, the whole thing, cops, everything.
Tragedy,
Tragedy.
tragedy, and yeah, they took fire, but you know, nobody gets into this job to die. You know, there's a burial today. They buried a deputy from Riverside today,
Mhm.
this morning. Nobody gets in this job to die. I know I didn't, but
Comes with it.
it comes with it.
Right.
Okay. So when they popped open the door and the guy got shot at, well, you run to the fight. You challenge the criminal, you know?
Like a cop that I interviewed that was at the shooting, who arrived 40 minutes, 45 minutes, um, as it was going on from a neighboring county. His words were, he called them traitors.
I call them cowards.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
He said too that they retreated. Those were his
yeah,
words.
they did. They,
And he said he wouldn't have done that. He actually, when he showed up, he had no idea it was still going on. He immediately tried to like corner the area because he
yeah,
thought he was preserving the scene and he thought it was over.
right.
And about 10 minutes in, then he found out they just killed the guy because he heard the shot.
Yeah. See, and that, you
So
know,
do you feel like those cops fucked up?
yeah, they fucked up.
What would you have done?
I've gone in. You have to go in.
Even with the higher brass there saying, "Hey, we're gonna wait for a
Well,
SWAT team. We're gonna wait for this and that and all this shit." You would have
okay.
said, "Fuck you, I'm going."
The first couple guys who went down the hallway who got shot on, they should have went in regardless.
Mhm.
They should have went in. It should have been open the door. You know, whether it was locked or not, it's still up to, you know, I don't think it was. Open the door, two people go in, you know, someone's going to get shot.
Someone's
Yeah.
probably gonna die.
Someone might die,
Yeah,
but you're going to have to, you know, you're going to have to. I mean,
that's the job.
that's the job. That's the risk.
Do you think they got scared
Yeah.
and they just
It's lack of mindset, you know, mindset, training, equipment.
took us back to training? You think that the training,
It goes back to mindset. You have to have the mindset. What am I going to do right now?
but you get that mindset from
Training
training.
and experience. Yeah.
And you were saying earlier that you feel like California has a very strict, top of the line training. And you're
Yes.
saying some of these, you actually specifically referenced the South and other areas, they don't have that kind of training. So
No.
they might not have that mindset, is what you're saying.
Right. You don't know how many hours of training they went through in the academy or what kind of training they went through. You know,
Mhm.
you know, standards are all over the board.
What about another one somebody sent? Your thoughts on the whole George Floyd? Um,
Like I said in the past, tragedy, the guy died.
yeah. What do you think the cops?
I think, first of all, I think the cop contributed to a point.
All of them? One of them?
One of them. I think the other ones are just they laid them all out. They had to. It was a political witch hunt.
For the other guys.
For the other guys. They
not for the main.
It was a blanket. We're gonna fuck all you guys. Here you go. You know, it was all political. You know,
for the main officer, Derek Chauvin. What do you think? The guy that had his
actual... Oh, he's a piece of shit. I'll be the first one to tell you he's a piece of shit. All he had to do is take the guy out, lay him on his side, hold him. That's it. Didn't have to put his knee on him. That just roll him on the side, hold him.
Do you think he purposely tried to
kill him?
Yeah.
No. I think he got into a pissing contest with whoever was yelling at him to get off him, and he wanted to show, like, look, I'm not going to listen to you. He let his ego take over. He took it personally.
He did the quote unquote the dance.
He
that you were talking about.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm not going to give you away. I'm not going to let you.
I'm actually going to do it my way. Yeah, here's my way.
And he fucked up, and he paid the price.
Yeah.
You know, now he gets, you know, he's not going to raise his kids. He's not going to be with his wife. He's going to lose everything. He's going to spend the next 22 years in jail. Yada, yada, yada. And then after that, he gets to go to federal prison too. Mm-hmm. You know? So, but George Floyd probably died on fentanyl. Most likely.
You don't think he died from the guy?
It was probably a contributing factor, but he was probably going to OD and die anyways. That's my opinion. I'm not an expert. I wasn't there. I didn't read the toxicology report, you know. But, you know, I think it's pretty much a given he had fentanyl in his system. Doesn't take very much to overdose.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on another person said something in? What are your thoughts just in general about what this person calls is like Big Brother and the government, and they feel that it's, you know, from what I'm reading right now, it's like that they
encroaching.
Yeah, encroaching, I guess is the better word you would use. Do you feel that that's happening?
I would say to a point, especially when you see polls and you see videos of people asking if they want socialism or capitalism, mm-hmm. and they're like, "Oh, socialism," you know. Everyone's saying, "Yeah, we want the government to do more." Mm-hmm. The government can't even build a freaking road right, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and you want to rely on them for healthcare. Mm-hmm. You want to rely on them to, you know, for schools. I mean, look at our school system; it's a disaster.
What do you think the biggest threat to our society is?
Dirty money with politicians.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you have to have term limits in everything.
Really?
Yeah. You have to. You can't have a politician be a politician for 20, 30 years. It's too corrupt.
Do you think anyway that's been said in 20, 30 years?
Yeah, they're too corrupt. They're with the system. They know what they're doing. They're there. You know, at that level,
they feel like they're untouchable.
Yeah, they probably are. Look at Hunter Biden. Look at, you know, Joe Biden. All these guys.
Yeah. Someone asked, do you guys feel like? Do you specifically feel like police officers might be overpaid?
No, we're underpaid.
Okay, because this person, what they're alluding to is that some officers can make in excess of $300,000 or $400,000 a year.
Yeah, if he never goes home, if he stays at the department and works overtime every day. I mean, let's put it this way, okay? I was in Kansas recently. Starting officer pay for a Kansas police officer in the town that I was at in Kansas was $21
an hour.
An hour.
And
in Kansas.
Yeah. What are you making about an hour right now?
Upwards of $55 an hour.
Okay.
You know, but that's, 20 years in, experience, certificates, etc., etc.
Right.
And we're California. I mean, you go to the Bay Area.
You get a good pension.
You get a decent pension. It's
you're taken care of. Would you
no,
say that?
I wouldn't say you're taken care of. Police officers are a lot like professional athletes. Mm-hmm. You're a commodity.
Yeah.
As long as you're healthy as long as you perform, as long as you do the right thing, you're fine. But the minute you get hurt, now you're a problem. You know, we're not going to take care of you anymore. There's cops out there 5, 6 years on, they have to retire. They went too hard, too fast, and they're done. They go find another career.
They just burn themselves
They
out.
burn themselves out. They blew a knee out. They blew a back out. They blew a shoulder out. There's no job for them anymore in the police.
What's one good moment that you've had as a police officer that sticks with you to this day? Like a moment where you're just, you're talking about the bat, right? The child. Is there something that you remember to this day that you're just like, damn, that was great? I never even think about it.
I never really thought about it. I mean, you get your graduation day when you become a cop. You get sworn in. That's your day.
Yeah.
And then that's about it.
Have you had anything on the field where you're like, this was great? Like, ever had a call where you're just like, yeah, this turned out to be a great thing?
No.
Really?
It's your career. That's the norm.
Yeah.
That's
you're just always dealing with bad.
No, you're not always dealing with the bad. Sometimes you're dealing with the good. Sometimes you actually get people who care.
You get a lot of bad though.
You get a lot of bad because we only deal with 1% of society.
Does that make you depressed?
No, I'm not a depressed. I'm not that type of person. It's not my personality.
There are officers though.
Yeah.
Work with
There's officers who they cry for everything, especially the newer officers.
Really?
Yeah, they're all emotional and in touch with that side. You'll see them crying, and you're like, "You okay?" Yeah, I'm okay. Or they saw something traumatic. They saw people die. They saw a tragic car accident where mom and dad and kid got thrown out of the car, and now they're laying on the street. It's emotional. I mean, we're people.
Yeah.
But
your instincts.
you do what you have to do. Unfortunately, society says, not you. You don't get to do that.
Right.
And they forget.
Anything you want to touch on that we haven't gone over, or anything that you want to say?
I think that people misunderstand the career. They see it as someone who shows up, drives around, writes tickets, gets a bad guy and puts him in jail, and is always in a cheery, good mood, drinking a cup of coffee, eating a donut. And it's not that. It's like any other career. You have to deal with home life. Then you got to come in. You have to deal with your work, your boss. Whether you get along with them or you don't.
Do you get along with your boss?
For the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not gotten along with bosses, but I smile and I wave and I mind my business and stay as far away as I can.
Yeah.
Because it's again, I don't want him or her to be petty. Because once they get petty, well, shit rolls downhill and I'm at the bottom of the hill.
It's the dance.
It's the dance,
They can do the dance back to you.
Yeah, they can do the dance. So I'm not going to give them, I'm not going to give them ammunition. If they say, hey, do this, okay. Hey, do that, okay. But the reason I do that is because when it goes south and someone says, hey, you did this, I'm like, I did it, but they told me to.
Right, so you throw it on them.
Throw it on them, pass the buck. You wanted to fuck me up? Fuck you, here you go. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
It's stupid,
Do you, one other thing, I have a question. We're seeing like a lot of AI rolling out now, right? There's I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's things now that you could say, you could literally type, um, hey, chat GPT, that's one of them, write me a 5-page essay about police officers in America, and it will boom do the whole thing in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
There's now AI out there that it basically almost thinks for you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting incorporated into everything, any type of career. Have you seen anything of that stuff where technology is really about to start changing in police departments? I mean, you guys got the body cameras, right? But is there anything that you've seen that's like, you're just like, fuck, this is crazy?
No,
Or anything on the horizon,
no. Police work is unfortunately it's slow to evolve.
Yeah. I mean, I know some foreign countries, they've even got these robot things now. Have you seen that shit?
Yeah, but it's at the same time you got to remember what's your budget.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to remember. Usually, if you look at any city budget,
Mm-hmm.
the most expensive thing is the police department. You know,
Right.
and people say, "Well, why are we paying them so much?" Hey, sweetheart, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. And you know what? Unfortunately, police departments don't always promote the best. There's a meme out there, I forgot what it said, and it says, we don't always promote the best and the brightest.
Yeah.
And right now, not every, no, again, people don't want to be police officers anymore. They in the past, you didn't. If you said you were a Marine and you showed up, it was pretty much all right. Cool, we're gonna hire another Marine.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, no, we don't care that you're a Marine. Do you have a degree in anything? No. I have a degree in kinesiology. What does it have to do with police work? Nothing, but fuck it, you have a degree, right? Cool. I have a degree in Latin American studies.
Do you have a degree?
No. I came in a time when you didn't have a degree. When degrees were, all you had to do was high school diploma.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's a problem that they're making people have degrees now?
Yeah, it's a paper stealing like anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think if they pulled that, there would be more cops?
You might open up a little bit more. It's not a must.
What fixes? Because you've told me basically that a lot of police departments are struggling to hire, so clearly that's an issue. What would fix that if you were in charge? If you had a magic wand, it could just be like, boom. Is it more money?
More money, better benefits. I think you have to spend more money at the beginning to weed them out.
Mm-hmm.
Weed out who you don't want. See, the thing that people don't understand is for every police officer that you see on the street, 100 people, the statistics say 100 people applied for that one position. And that person was the best one out of the 100. So think about that.
Yeah.
How many jobs how many careers? Okay. You're a cop? When I first started, okay. If you were even in a room in a house, say a 5-bedroom house, and you said, and one of the questions I asked you, have you ever been in a place where illicit narcotics or, meth, coke, something?
Weed?
Weed,
Yeah.
And you say, I went to a house party one time and I walked in, I saw somebody doing, maybe we had some coke, and then I walked out and I left. Yeah, we don't want you. Next.
So I mean that's kind of setting themselves up for failure.
But you ask people.
Why ask that? I mean,
because you want to know who you're dealing with. Okay, you got to remember. Okay, police officers.
Have you been to a house party where there was coke when you were in high school?
No.
Never. Weed?
Weed, probably.
I didn't. What did you just lied on the report?
No, I told them. Yeah. Have you ever been around people with weed? Yeah, I went to a party, smelled like weed. I left. Why'd you leave? Because I don't want to be there. Now all they ask is, have you done any illicit drugs or been around illicit drugs the last 5 years? No. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you got to remember, police
so that's them adjusting things to make it.
You have to remember, police officers they deal with taking people's rights away if they have to. They deal with money. You know, it's the only job you can lose for lying.
Mm.
You know, simple lying. Hey, did you do this? No. And they find, oh, you lied. You're fired.
Yeah.
Think about that. No other job. Public defender, lawyer. Nope. They won't lose their job.
Right.
But a cop will lose his job for lying. That's why when you testify, you go over what you said before. You know.
What's the out of your, what is it, 18 years or 20 years?
A little bit of around 18
All right,
in law enforcement.
We'll call it 18. I was 18 years. Who is, or you don't have to say their name, but the most significant person you have arrested? I mean, like a triple homicide, a celebrity, anybody that you took in, you're like, fuck, I just arrested that guy or that girl.
No, I mean, it just, you know, an arrest is an arrest. It doesn't really
Is
matter.
there anybody that stands out, like a big arrest that you had, that you were the one
Um,
that slapped the cuffs
you know, sometimes you get lucky and you catch a homicide suspect right away.
on? Mm-hmm.
You know, that happened once, you know, and, but it was par for the course. I mean, society today, they want to be acknowledged and given that immediate satisfaction. Hey, you did a good job. That's the problem with the cops today. You know, they tell you, oh, well, didn't I do a good job today, sir? I'm not here to give you accolades. You get your reward in every other week on Friday at midnight.
Right.
Okay, there's your reward.
Right.
Okay, that's it. You know, so I mean, an arrest is an arrest. I mean, and sometimes these people who arrested celebrities, it's more of a hassle than it's not. Because now you have some, they want to win their case. You know.
Yeah, so they're gonna make you look as bad as you got.
Right. You know, I was in Vegas when Paris Hilton got popped for dope, for coke, next to the Wynn. I walked right past it.
Yeah.
You know, you figure out who was the guy that arrested Kourtney Kardashian for Deuce. You know.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm sure he remembers it.
What about somebody else? Do you deal with a lot of Karens?
All the time.
How do you deal with that?
You just let them talk and just say, okay, we're done. You know, it just, you know, it's like any it's like any argument. As long as you only deal with the points,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the one thing a lot of people don't argue. When you argue just the facts, you know, you'll be fine. But
All right. Well, it was good talking to you and kind of just hearing your side of everything. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Anything else you want to say? Yeah, 30 seconds just to let it out.
You know what? Just remember, be polite, be kind,
Yeah,
and respect the police officer. He's only doing his job. That's it.